So in this video, I'm going to show you how but works. So how it can work for you or against you. For example, the smoker says, I want to stop smoking, but I get stress. The pattern, it's a positive statement, a but, and then an excuse. So the but has the effect of negating whatever went before it. So if we get the smoker to turn the sentence around and have him say, I get stressed, but I want to stop smoking, then it redirectionalises the mind in a positive direction. So what I suggest you do is to listen for every time you use but, then you write out the sentence and then rewrite it in a way that works for you. For example, the Forex Trader, the share trader says, I intend to follow the rules, but then I end up changing my mind at the last moment. And so it ends up being a bad trade. So turn the statement around. So it's in the past, I have changed my mind at the last moment, but from now on, I will follow the rules. Another example, I'd like to take the wealth dynamics test, but I don't have the money. So you turn it around, I don't have the money, but I still like to take the wealth dynamics test and find out what my personality type is. So notice how it gets you thinking in a more resourceful manner. Another example. This is about me, right? So I want to run a media training event on the Gold Coast, but I don't have an admin person. So you turn it around. I don't have an admin person, but I still want to run a media training event on the Gold Coast. It's almost like the attitude is I'm still going to run the media training event even though I don't have an admin person. It makes me even more determined that I will run the media training event. You know, it gets me thinking of plan B. Who do I need to connect with on the Gold Coast? Who could I team up with? Where can I find a group of people on the Gold Coast who are already self-organised? So just by turning the sentence around and using but to negate the excuse, it gets me thinking in a more creative fashion. All right, now a different pattern. You say something and the other person says, but don't you think that? So what they've done is to negate what you said. All right, now there's nothing wrong with using but, just that you need to use it so that it works for you. If you want to negate what someone says, then use but. If you want to negate a negative thought or behavior, then use but to block it. And then the pattern, you say something and the other person says, but do you know what? And you reply, what? And they say something which negates what you said. So if the other person uses but to negate what you said, what can you do? Well, first you need to understand that they've shifted the topic of conversation. And by the way, there are 2 videos on my channel that show you how to focus the topic of conversation. Okay, back to our example. So you suggest, say, getting a cat, and they say, but don't you think that a dog would be a better idea? You could reply, is that what you think? That a dog would be a better idea? Now, the other person has to reply in some way. So you listen. You can consider what they have to say, and then you could use their pattern back upon them and say, but don't you think that a cat would be a better idea? Anyway, now for some excuses. So what's an excuse? An excuse is a reason given to justify why something happened or did not happen. You know, it's sometimes a way to lessen the blame or release one from responsibility. However, one of the attributes of highly successful people is that they take responsibility for what happens, even if they get stuck in traffic. They don't fall back on that as a means to explain why they missed an appointment. So let's look at a few excuses. I can't do that because. So as soon as you hear can't followed by because, you know that you've got to hear an excuse. So you restate the statement as I can't do that or I don't want to do that. The next one is I don't have the time to do that. So don't have the time may be true, but it's stated in a way that avoids full responsibility. So you restate the statement as, it is not a priority for me. It is not that important for me. So be really truthful. And then another, I've been busy. So as soon as you hear I've been busy, indicates that you did not follow through on an action. Then activity had a lower priority than other activities. So it was not quite important enough for you to follow through. Or perhaps other activities took longer than expected. But even so, you were the one who made the choice. So learn from it and in future be careful of what you commit to. And then we have, I don't know how to do that. All right? So I don't know how to do that. It could be an excuse, but you'll hear it in the tonality. And if the person says, well, how do I do that? Where can I learn? Or who can I get to do that? That indicates that they're still engaged. And then we have, I don't have the money. So I don't have the money. It could be a fact, right? Yet in some cases, people will use it as an excuse. Now, I've heard countless people tell me that they want to stop smoking cigarettes or marijuana. They want to stop drinking alcohol or stop gambling. They may spend hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars every week on their habit, yet they claim they don't have a few $100s for a coaching session. So not having the money becomes an excuse not to make an effort to change their behavior. The I don't have the money to stop my bad habit is much like the I want to stop smoking but I get stressed, or I want to stop gambling but I don't have the money to pay for help, or I'd like to take the wealth dynamics test but I don't want to spend $100. So if you turn it around, then you can get leverage on yourself. For example, I don't want to spend $100 but I still like to take the wealth dynamics test and find out what my personality type is. So those who make excuses tend to focus on the problem rather than looking for a solution. They tend to be a pessimist rather than an optimist. They tend to blame rather than take responsibility. They tend to be reactive rather than proactive. So what is the solution? First off, you need to recognize the language pattern. So you listen to the words that are used and listen for the tonality, that is how the words are said. Ask yourself, does this thought serve me? Or does this conversation serve me? If not, then ask, so what thoughts would serve me right now? Such that I get to take action towards achieving my desired outcomes. If you want to learn how to set goals in such a way that you have a higher probability of achieving them, then check the links in the comments box below. And I look forward to seeing you again.